A first-class ticket is supposed to feel like a small reward for surviving the chaos of life, more legroom, quieter air. The illusion that for a few hours you finally earned the right to relax. But on the night I boarded Flight 772 to Reykjavik, that ticket turned into a mirror one that showed me exactly how fast people decide who you are before you ever open your mouth. I still remember the way the gate lights buzzed overhead, the smell of burnt coffee, the way the rain smeared the windows like the city itself was tired. I stepped into the priority lane boarding pass, ready, just another guy trying to get home, and that's when I felt it, that pause, that look, that tiny hesitation that always comes right before things go sideways. The head flight attendant, a woman named Lauren Hale, stood at the scanner like a bouncer at a private club. Posture, perfect smile, sharp eyes already doing math about who belonged and who didn't. She greeted the man before me like an old friend, laughed at his joke, waved him through. Then she stopped me. "Sir, this lane is for first class," she said, voice sweet enough to sting. I told her I was in first class. She looked me up and down, hoodie sneakers carry-on that had seen better days, and asked for my ID, not asked really, demanded, right there in front of everyone. I handed it over, calm on the outside, tired on the inside, and she flipped through it like she was hoping to find something wrong. When she handed it back, her smile never reached her eyes. "Right this way," she said, already annoyed that reality hadn't matched the story in her head. Inside the cabin, everything looked expensive and fragile, like it might crack if you breathed wrong. I took my seat, 1C, stowed my bag, carefully asked for water instead of champagne, and opened my book. Across the aisle sat a man who looked exactly like what people expect first class to look like. Silver hair, tailored jacket, loud, laugh. The kind of confidence that comes from never being questioned. His name was Victor Lang, and within 10 minutes he'd let the whole cabin know it. He complained about the seat, about the lighting, about the ice in his drink, and Lauren hovered over him like gravity itself bent in his direction. When he took off his watch and set it on the table, I noticed without trying. It was massive, diamond-studded, absurdly expensive, the kind of thing you don't casually set down unless you're used to the world watching out for you. He caught me glancing and grinned. "Beautiful, right?" he said. I nodded, polite. He chuckled like he'd won something. "Worth more than my first house," he added loud enough for people 2 rows back to hear. Lauren laughed with him, eyes locked on that watch like it was a promise. A couple hours into the flight, the cabin dimmed and the world narrowed to that quiet hum that only exists at cruising altitude. Victor drank himself into a nap, mouth open, watch still on the table. I kept reading. Somewhere behind the curtain a cart rattled. Someone whispered the plane shifted. Then turbulence hit sharp enough to jolt drinks and wake sleepers. Victor cursed, knocked over his glass, and sat up confused. "My watch," he said at first, almost to himself. Then louder, "Where the hell is my watch?" The lights snapped brighter like a stage cue. Lauren appeared instantly. She searched the table, the floor, the seat, all with a performance of concern that felt rehearsed. Then she looked at me. Not curious. Certain. "I saw him near your seat earlier," she told Victor. Voice lowered, but not enough. He was standing right here messing with his bag. It was a lie that landed cleanly because it fit what everyone already wanted to believe. Victor stood up, face red, pointing. "You took it," he yelled. I stayed seated, hands visible. Heart pounding, but mind clear. I told them to search my bag. I said it calmly because when you know you're innocent, sometimes the only power you have is refusing to panic. They pulled my bag down. Lauren unzipped it like she already knew the ending. When she reached into the bottom and pulled out a sock, time slowed. The watch spilled out onto the tray table, diamonds catching the light, and the cabin gasped like one body. Victor shouted. Someone shook their head. Someone else muttered, "Unbelievable." Lauren crossed her arms, satisfaction flickering across her face before she masked it. "We'll have police waiting when we land," she said, already in charge of the narrative. She blocked me when I tried to stand, told me I couldn't use the restroom, said I was a flight risk. At 37,000 feet, over the Atlantic. I almost laughed, but there was nothing funny about the way the room had already turned on me. By the time we landed, I was escorted off the plane in handcuffs past phones raised just enough to pretend they weren't filming. Lauren leaned in as I passed and whispered, "People like you always mess it up for yourselves." I looked at her and said, "This isn't over." She smirked like she'd heard that line 1,000 times. Here's the part no one on that plane knew. I wasn't just a passenger. I was flying under an assumed name, part of an internal audit for the airline's parent company brought in to investigate complaints about discriminatory treatment on premium routes. Flight 772 wasn't random. Lauren wasn't unlucky. She was consistent. At the station, while she repeated her story with confidence, the detective played the footage she didn't know existed. New aircraft, discreet cameras, no blind spots. The video showed her stopping at Victor's seat while he slept, glancing around, slipping the watch into her apron. It showed her waiting. It showed the turbulence. It showed her planting it in my bag while everyone else was distracted. When they brought me into the room, I wasn't in cuffs anymore. I was in a suit, camera rolling. Not for revenge, for accountability. Lauren cried. Said she panicked. Said it was one mistake. I slid a folder across the table, thick with complaints. Dates, patterns. Passengers questioned, delayed, humiliated, always the same look, always the same excuse. You didn't make a mistake, I told her. You made a choice. I terminated her employment on the spot, effective immediately. No appeal, no quiet exit. The airline released the footage within hours. The internet did what it always does. Victor sued her to save his own reputation. She took a plea deal. Lost her job, her license, her future in aviation. Months later, I saw a clip online of her working a drive-thru in another city, face, tired eyes empty, while a reporter talked about the airline's new equity initiative. People asked me if I felt bad. The truth is complicated. I don't celebrate anyone's downfall, but I do believe consequences matter, especially when power meets prejudice at 30,000 feet. So, here's what I want to know. Was Lauren a villain, or just a symptom of something we all pretend doesn't exist? How many times have you watched someone get judged, boxed in, or blamed because it was easier than questioning your own assumptions? And, if you'd been on that plane, who would you have believed? Drop your thoughts in the comments, argue with me if you want to share a story you've never told out loud. Because the only thing more dangerous than prejudice is pretending it doesn't have a boarding pass.